All right, everybody, welcome. Happy Friday. It is Rapid Fire Friday today. End of a long week. And I say a long week because the trade has been fairly difficult this week, especially today. And I'm going to bring Mike Shore in here in a minute to talk about, this, what's going on in the market and just really trying to get a grip, trying to get a grasp on what is happening here. Overall, the last couple weeks has been really good. This week's been a tough week. Volume is really bad today overall. We'll see what happens next week with the Fed meeting Tuesday and Wednesday. The announcement on Wednesday. Obviously, things are going to be probably a bit volatile before that, but then all bets are off after Wednesday, guys, unless there's a real shock to the system. Powell changes his tune. He's been pretty dovish recently, and we know they are going to cut by a quarter next week. But if they really he changes his tune a little bit to get a little bit more hawkish, maybe that roils the markets here. But otherwise, I would expect after the Fed meeting next week through Christmas or so, it's going to be really light. So here we go, Mike Shore. Welcome to the Market Minds Rapid Fire Friday. Appreciate you being here. What do you think about this market activity, Mike?
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Of course.
And so let's just take a small window here. So yesterday, I didn't see why the markets were as weak as they were towards the end of the day. And I told them, man,
Uh-oh, Mike froze. So I'm going to take that over from Mike for a second here, and he'll be back in a moment. So I'm not sure what he told his students why the markets were so weak yesterday. In my opinion, it's all because of interest rates right now. Interest rates are ticking higher. So bonds are selling off. Rates are ticking higher. As I look right now, I think the 10-year is at 435, which is the highest it's been in a few weeks. And so that's... Oh, there. Hang on, guys. I got Mike back, I think. Mike?
Yes.
You here? Okay. You are here now. All right. Okay. Hopefully everybody can...
Where did you lose me?
We lost you about a minute ago when you were saying yesterday, end of the day.
Yeah. So yesterday at the end of the day, I told everybody, man, this thing looks like it wants to rally, and we did. We were up about 90% or 90 bips. Excuse me, not 90%.
90%. That would be quite the move.
Yeah. But I was cautious the whole time and not chasing that because remember, look at the fundamental data that we got from Wednesday, Thursday, and today. We had a CPI that came in line, which was actually not an overly optimistic consensus there, right? Just came in line, which was still a little bit warm. Then PPI came in and was even higher. And then today we got import and export prices, and those weren't any good. And so I didn't understand why we were up in the Qs about 90 bips. Not that it's not bullish. I think that cyclically, I still think that they're trying to smoke out everybody who thinks that the Santa Claus rally is coming and everything. And I believe it is, but that doesn't mean it has to happen today. We still have more than a half a month to get there. And so
and when you talk about Santa Claus rally, okay, most people think it's the whole month of December, which it's not. The actual, quote unquote Santa Claus rally is the last 5 trading days of the month and the first 2 trading days in January.
Exactly. But that's not what everybody hears.
Exactly.
And so it's one of these markets that you like I said, I don't like to try and make market predictions, but this is a market that, you know, the fundamentals are generally good, or at least trending in the right way. And but the path that we take there, that's the part of trading that is difficult, right? You can say, hey, here we're going to be, you know, on day one, we're going to be here on
Yeah,
day
it would be nice to
here.
have the instruction booklet.
Right. If you guys would
Planning
just
it
tell
out
us,
for us.
tell us so we don't have to use stops for the month, that would be great. But that's not the real world.
Exactly. When you had frozen up there, I was just saying that I think, you know, what's kind of, you know, not spooking the market, but what is kind of dragging the markets down right now are interest rates. We're seeing the 10-year is high, you know, higher than it's been in 2 weeks. A couple weeks ago it was just down at 410, 412. Now it's, you know, over 435, approaching that 450 level again. So you know, I think that's what is kind of hampering, let's call it, the market right now. But you know what, guys? It is rapid fire Friday. So
can I add one caveat to that?
Please do.
So remember that, you know, we have to keep ourselves competitive with the rest of the world. And so we saw the Swiss cut by 50. Swiss is, you know, you could argue is an even stronger. So there is that underlying bid to treasuries or the.
Mike froze up again. So I'm going to take it over from here, guys. I don't know what's going on with Mike's connection here, guys, but hopefully you can all hear me. And I am ready to get into rapid fire Friday. All right, everybody, let's go to the screen here and let's go. What do you guys have for us? Let's take a look at some stocks here that may be on your shopping list for the end of the month, going into January. Let us know. AJG. Okay, what is AJG? Arthur J. Gallagher. Okay, Arthur J. Gallagher. Populating up right now. It's up 1% today. So from a technical standpoint, if you guys can see what's on the screen here, what I'm looking at, I see this kind of lower or higher low, higher high. And we're kind of at that low point right now. Now, if I look at the option market side of it, monthly options, not a lot of liquidity, wide markets, I think it's a tough trade. I probably wouldn't want to do anything in it, but this to me right here, where we're at, just based on that higher low, higher high, looks like it's probably a bit of support right here. PBR. Who's getting some PBR this weekend? Who's in the PBR this weekend? Let's take a look. Mike, are you back? I don't think so.
I'm here.
You are, okay. But our Zoom is just not working here. So you can talk, and I can't get your screen either, I don't believe.
I just shared my screen.
Yeah, it's not coming through on our end. I don't know if Mike Clark can.
Just now I did.
There we go. There's your screen. Okay. Why don't you bring up PBR for everybody?
PBR? Sure.
Yeah.
Coming up.
There we go. All right, everyone. PBR it is.
All right, PBR. That's a rough one. All right. We had the dividend payment. So we had a 34-cent dividend payment. So that's gonna explain this pull down a little bit here. And if we keep holding these levels, we're actually going to flip the ATR from positive. It's still holding right now. I mean, your bottom here is $13. I don't know how much I want to jump in here at 1360. It's at the bottom of the Donchian channel. I don't see anything bullish about it right now. And then you have resistance up here at 1412. So it's kind of a midland trade. This is one of these trades that you want to see what happens on Monday to see if we get back into this gap, which at least that we have a shot up to, let's just call it 14 quarter. 13 looks to be good support. So for here, this would be a wait and see for me.
Yeah, me too. And I have a screen capture of some PBR up on the screen right now. I know that's not what they were looking for. They were looking for Petrobras or Brazil Petroleum, whatever it was. But I agree with you, and that's a tough trade regardless of where you're looking at an oil stock or a driller or anything. I think that is just a really, really tough trade right now. All right. I'm going to take Rivian. And if more people will, yeah, Jay, you'll take it. Nice. If some more people will give us what they think or what they want to see, Mike and I will absolutely dive into it. Rivian, Rivian is so news driven, guys. One day you get a great report about the EVs. The next day, the government comes out with cutting back on their credits. It's in the middle of no man's land. It really is.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could see doing with Rivian right now is because implied volatility is so cheap. Okay. It's really cheap. I'd probably look at buying some time, either buying like a strangle swap or, selling maybe January options, buying March options against it, something like that, looking for a move in either direction just because volatility is so cheap. But, it's made such a nice move off this bottom of $9.50, $10 up to where it is right now. It's really, to me, in the middle of no man's land. All right, Mike, you want to take Roku?
Sure.
All right. Your screens are on the screens.
All right. Okay. So this one, it almost looks like Rivian. To be honest, we do have we do have a swing bottom, or what we like to call either a floor trade or a congestion entry here at, let's just call it 29 quarter. If it can't hold that, we're looking to fill that little gap here down at not 29. I'm sorry about that. That was
79.
79.
Yep.
We do have that gap in here to fill. It quite frankly, it does look a little bit toppy. So I would wait for some sort of value pullback, either at the bottom of that gap, or you can wait until we have all of this in here. I don't know if you guys can see my screen very well. Let me bring up my drawing tool just so you can see where I'm pointing to.
Yeah, I see 3 different Roku screens on your screen.
Yes, so I'm looking at the right one. The right one is the daily chart. The other 2 are 2 hourly charts.
See that big circle right there?
So you have the whole moving average, the 20-day moving average, and the 50-day moving average here at 75, 14, 70, let's just call it 75 half. That would probably be where I would be interested in getting in. Right here, you're asking for, new recent highs. And we've seen that it doesn't take a whole lot for Roku to turn sour on or the market to turn sour on it. So I wouldn't be super aggressive with this. I mean, if you're going to be super aggressive with one of these things, you're probably better off with Netflix, even though Netflix is such a high flying stock. This certainly has a lot more value from just a nominal standpoint. But that would be aggressive entry. My arrow here. Aggressive entry would be the bottom of this gap and see if it bounces. But the more conservative entry would be here in this circle where we have all of that support there.
All right, let's.
Like I said, it looks a lot like the last one we looked at.
Let's take it to a stock that has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. UNH.
Oh, I knew what you were going to say before you brought it up.
This one's so tough because of all the news-driven movement. that we have seen. It
Yep.
broke through, kind of sliced through, like, a knife through hot butter through this 200-day moving average,
Right.
and now has kind of bottomed out for a while here. I know Charlie Moon yesterday was actually talking about this 480-ish area right here where there's all of this kind of congestion. I'm not
Yep.
sure that we get all the way down here. I would let this one play out. I think this one is a risky play one way or the other, just because at any moment we could either get news on the entire healthcare sector about things that are going on, or news specific to UNH about replacing their CEO. So I think this is a real tough one. If I had to make a call one way or the other, I'd probably look to sell a downside put spread, or maybe even sell an expensive iron condor. But until they name a new CEO, I don't think there's going to be a lot of upside. That would be my take on that. So we're
That's
moving. What's that, Mike?
I said that's totally my take on it, and I completely agree with Mr. Moon that 480, 490. Look at where we have all this volume here. It's actually at 490. And we were talking about this yesterday, Scott, that this is almost a pariah stock,
Yeah,
even though that the fundamentals of the company have not changed. Their way of conducting business may or may not change, and if it does change, maybe it changes for the better. But in the same way, just the PR story behind UNH is just a really rough one until you get some market consensus of, okay, this chapter, as horrible as it was, is over.
exactly.
And right now you are and I'm with you, implied volatility is up there. So I'm thinking selling implied volatility in one way or the other. But that 480, 490 level, if it got down there and there wasn't really a reason, like a fundamental reason why that happened, then I'm with you right here. I think that you're kind of trading into air.
Agreed. All right, before we move on, and we're going to look at LRCX next. You can all see on the board our word of the day for the wheel, and today's word is shore.
Oh,
Not
wow.
SHORE like lakeshore or going to the shore of the beach, but shore as in Mike Shore. So get
Yep.
that all in the chat here, guys, and we'll get that wheel running here pretty soon. All right, leave this up here for another few seconds, and then we're going to go right back to the charts. I'm going to take LRCX, and Mike, I'm going to hand you. Let me go back through the. Oh man, someone wants to dive into Elon, so I'm going to give you Tesla. I'm going to look at LRCX. You're looking at
Okay.
Tesla. All
All right.
right, so let's take a look here, guys. Let's get LRCX up on the board. I have liked LRCX this past week or so. In fact, we've had some call spreads that did not get filled in LRCX a couple times where we were just ticks away from it. All right, here is a better chart. Okay, and what I have liked, even though it's been a little bit in a declining channel overall here, is I really like the rebound off of the low. And then once it got through the 50, okay, and then came back, it's putting in all this volume right there at the 50. That's
Yep.
like a real big deciding point. It's a real big give and take point right there. So I like that. I definitely like the upside here in LRCX. And like I said, we have put some signals out the last few days. We just haven't been filled. And obviously we're not going to chase anything, especially now when volumes are really, really light. All right,
Right.
Mike, I'm handing this over to you, and you got Tesla going on here.
I was still on LRCX. Hang on.
So
Yeah.
your there you go. Your screens are up for Tesla.
All right. So it's hard because you have. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to see that this is a bullish chart. The problem is that it's just barely off of its all-time and 52-week highs. And so with stocks like this, it might go to 450, it might go to 500, who knows where it is. I'm almost never comfortable unless there's a really good reason to chase these things. And what do? You look for something else or you wait. And so your first logical pullback is going to be here at our whole moving average, which is at 393.10, which is it's a long way from right now. But that's kind of the beauty of trading stocks. You don't have to chase the one. And I don't see anything that is pointing to me to say that it's bearish. You have somebody who's from a fundamental standpoint, who has the ear and everything else of the next administration coming in, that can only help his company story and him in general. It's just a tough one to try. This would be a great stock to day trade as opposed to a swing trade at this level. But if we get a pullback to the hull here, we can see that we've seen these pullbacks. They don't hold to the penny, but these hull moving average pullbacks have been really nice. So now we need to wait for that next one and just be patient. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's a nice thing about what we do. We don't have to buy or sell any particular stock. We get to decide what the reasons are that we want to get or short a stock and go from there. So the patience, I think, is more. It's certainly volatile enough if you like day trading these type of stocks, and they're actually quite expensive again. But that would be my take on Tesla.
Got it. All right, I'm going to handle AMD here. Okay, so AMD, it's been lagging a little bit, the other chip makers. And if I look at, this is a 2-year chart that I've got up on the screen here, and you can see, the support right here, but you can also see drop off down below there. If I tighten up the time frame here and just go to 1 year, boy, it looks like we're at some really, really excellent support for the stock right now. But again, it depends what time frame you're looking at. I would definitely be on the more bullish side than I would be on the bearish side. And volatility is pretty cheap. So with volatility being real cheap like that, you can probably get a really inexpensive upside broken wing call butterfly. I think it probably does rally into the end of the year. Excuse me. But again, if I expand this, if AMD doesn't hold this kind of 124 or 5 level that we're at right now, there's not a lot. There's not a lot to hold this stock up, guys, till probably a good $15, $18 down from here, around 106, 107 or so. That's my take on AMD. Yeah. Mike, let me go back to the well here. We've got ADI, Analog Devices. I'm going to turn that one over to you.
All right, so ADI, well, I mean, the key thing that we've seen is that we've gotten over the 200. We've bricked at, look at the parallel lines between the 50 and the 100-day moving averages. Now we're below it. So now I'm not saying it's bearish, but I'm saying we do have this little line of support here, let's just call it 214, where it can't seem to get below it. But if it does, then your next stop is down at 205.40. So right now it's holding, but it's below key resistance, below its 200-day moving average. It tried to get up there again today, early in the day, I would imagine, and then it bricked there again. So, the market's saying, well, maybe we're not going to sell it lower, but I'm not seeing that break higher. So if we do get above 217.73, it's not that big of a move up to 222. I mean, it's a $5 move in a $220 stock. that's not much to write about. So I would again, again, the nice thing is that we don't have to make a trade here. And actually, if the market does turn lower, this could be a nice breakout stock from, to the downside at 213, 214, all the way down to 205. 205, talk to me then, and that's a little bit different of a story.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
And there's just too much work that this has to do. I always use the term, let the market work for you, and then you take advantage of it. We don't have to make a decision here. But if we get back above the 200-day, well, we know that most likely we're going to see here, and then we can make a decision whether to exit or adjust our signal that we're already in the hopes that we can go, ideally 229 quarter. But right now, I think that you just have way too much tough sledding to try and get through to get any sort of return to the upside.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, last call, guys, for the wheel. It's up. Groucho's up here. Sure is the word. Last call. All right. I am gonna take NVIDIA. Everybody wants to know about NVIDIA here. Okay. So what I see, obviously, it's been a little bit weaker. Okay. What I see is this area that was kind of a former top twice. Okay. So that is right around 128 to 129. That to me is the last line of defense for NVIDIA. If we can hold here or it trades down there a little bit and then bounces, great. If not, the stock may be stuck for a while. So that's, this is another one of those real tough ones, but it's also implied volatility. Option volatility is really, really cheap. So this is another opportunity, guys, where, you want to be invested, you want to be involved, you don't really know which way it's going, or, maybe you have an idea and you want to have a bullish play, but vol is cheap enough to maybe hedge that, with a little bit of a downside. So with vol this cheap, I would be looking at, again, strangle swap, a move either way. Again, to me, this 128, 129 area, that's really a line in the sand for NVIDIA. All right, Mike, going to give you the last go around here, and let's go at Adobe.
Ooh. You mean
Adobe,
easy?
ouch.
Yeah.
Adobe, ouch.
So clearly, they were not happy with earnings. 544 for round numbers down to 490. All right. And then they extended that. Let's move this to a weekly chart because the daily chart isn't giving us any sort of ideas of where this thing can hold. We've gotten through the recent lows here. I mean, my line here, 430, let's just call it 435. I'm really surprised. I mean, earnings were a disappointment. It's not like they came out and said that we're no longer a good company or anything like that.
Exactly.
They missed on both. They missed on both the top line and the bottom line, and they cut back on guidance. But there's a value to this company, and it seems overdone. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, where are they really trying to squeeze out these longs? And you're not getting any sort of fear here. But if you're even just looking, and that would be going back to June of 2024, last time that we were down in this 435 area. If I were going to take a shot to the upside, which I think one is warranted, I wouldn't be doing it here. I'd wait till 435.
And there you have it. All right, everybody. It is that time. It is that time of the day here. Sorry for some of the technical difficulties with Mike earlier in the day.
Sorry about that, everybody.
But we've got the wheel really full today. It is jam packed. So on this rapid fire Friday, let's give it a whirl. And there we go. And is this going to be Sandip, Aiden, Mark Chronister, who just won, I think, end of last week or even earlier this week? Mark, are you in the house today? Gotta have the winner in the house. Mark Chronister, are you still here today? There it is. You won Tuesday. Congrats again. But you know what? He's gonna get something, but let's also give another one away. What do you think about that, Mike Shore?
I think it's Friday, and I think that everybody's worked hard this week, and I think so.
And it's Christmas season, so let's get going. Here we go. Next one, are we gonna have Doug or Vincent or Astro? Doug Reback. Doug Reback, are you in the house? Mark, you know what to do. Shoot me an email. I know I have the info from last time, but shoot me an email with all your vitals. Doug Reback, are you in the house? Doug Reback, are you in the house? Boy, I would hate to be a winner coming up on the wheel and then not be here to collect. Doug, we'll give you about 10 more seconds here before we go right back to the well. Uh-oh, Doug. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, sorry, Doug. Sorry. Going back to the wheel. Here we go. And what do we have? Todd, Jerry, Blackline, Jerry Hawken. Jerry Hawken. That's got to be a new winner, I believe. Jerry, are you here? Jerry, are you here? Let us know. We don't want to have to put up a sad face, a crying face for you as well. Jerry Hawken, are you in the house? Oh, a big whoop whoop. Okay, he is. Wonderful. All right, Jerry, please shoot me an email right here. prosperswag@prospertrading.com and send me an email with your mailing address and swag and all that good stuff. Size swag that you want. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful, fantastic weekend. And we will see you all on Monday. Mike Shore, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Everybody, have a great weekend. Thanks a lot.
See you, everyone.